On. We're speaking to Alan Charles, poet, playwright, and director. Alan, you were just telling us about those stories that we have that are so rich in the Caribbean. How do you translate those stories, things you would have heard, things you experienced, to now this stage and bringing it before us in a way that's digestible, entertaining, but also educating?
I guess it's just internalizing it and making it relevant to our day and to our culture and to how we view things in 2023. So like growing up, like I said, I'm a product of the church. Right. So all those biblical stories, but you notice pastors would retell the stories in a different way, and each pastor would tell the story in a different way. So that was always there as a foundation. Now I actually started out as today they call it DJing. Back in the day, it's called toasting.
All right.
Yeah, you know what I mean, like poetry over music. But I am Seventh-day Adventist.
Right.
Traditional church, and obviously back then in the 80s, reggae wasn't really accepted.
So how were you able to do that? Did you have the height to do that?
No, so I had to take the music away and just focus on the lyrics because it wasn't accepted.
Right.
So that's how the spoken word was developed.
Okay.
Out of my love for reggae DJing and pretending to be famous Jamaican DJs, but because it wasn't accepted, I had to leave the music aside and just focus on the spoken word. And so that became my foundation as a spoken word artist.
Right.
But as with growing and changes now, the reggae and the stuff was allowed, so I could put it back in. Not too much,
right.
And so that developed, and then from there now, because obviously poetry, spoken word, you're telling stories in 3-4 minutes in a poem. So the transition now from poetry to the stage was the natural progression of telling a larger story,
right?
And so that's how the actual playwriting came about. Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about your plays, your work, is that you're able to touch topics that may be taboo, topics that nobody wants to address, so demands them. You talked about relationships among female friends, relationships among male and female, all these different, nuances and intricacies. And then in this play you have with Midlife Crisis, you're talking about within a marriage, within the church, someone in office. Talk to us about those issues that you're able to address.
Okay, so we're dealing with a husband and wife, married for 26 years.
Yes.
The kids have grown. They've left the roost. The mortgage is paid. So now all the big stuff that kept the family together are now gone.
Right.
They look across the table and they realize, I'm not sure I like you. I'm not sure I'm in love with you. I'm not sure we have a connection. Our connection seemed to have been doing life, raising the kids and paying the bills. But now that those are gone, do we have enough to see us through the next 30 years? And so that's when they start to reassess their life and looking at stuff that they thought they would have accomplished by then, but maybe marriage came in the way to stop those.
Right.
And now they're seeking to fulfill those goals, but sometimes at the expense of the marriage.
Yeah.
And so we see the husband, Wayne, who is really want to create a legacy for himself now, and he's working every hour God sends, but the wife is feeling neglected, unappreciated.
Right.
And in her situation of being feeling neglected, they always say, if you don't take care of your business, somebody will be willing to take care of your business. And so while she's feeling neglected, somebody is giving her the time of day. And so she's now challenged with, do I take this option here?
Yes.
Or do I work on my marriage? And we just see the dynamic of how they work themselves through this situation that have been caused, because sometimes midlife crisis can be affected by decisions you made in your youth, in your young days. So I would say, encourage anybody to, while you're young, still prepare for the future, get your stuff together, because it will catch up on you eventually.
Right. One of the things that we do see is that your work is done both in England and also in the Caribbean.
Indeed.
How does that, I guess, not compare, but what are the differences in terms of the delivery of it and the reception of the work?
Right. Okay, so the Caribbean is more colorful, more bacchanal, more loud, more joyful, more, whereas obviously in the UK, more reserved.
Yes.
You know, so you get more laughter and hilarity in the Caribbean, especially in Trinidad.
Okay.
In the UK, it's more reserved. However, we went to Tobago
Yes.
last week,
Okay.
and there is a distinct difference between Trinidad and Tobago culturally accepting the work.
Okay, explain.
In Trinidad, from the first word, the audience is with us, laughing, heckling, whatever.
Right.
In Tobago, you could hear a pin drop up until about 40 minutes into the play.
So they were listening intently.
Well, I didn't know if they were listening, if they didn't like it. I was panicking.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the end, they loved it.
Okay.
I mean, they were just.
They were focused.
Yeah, they were
They
focused.
were listening.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah.
But it was different because in Trinidad, from the get-go,
Right.
they were with us. But Tobago was more laid back. In fact, it was kind of British actually
Okay.
in the response. But once they got into it and they warmed to it, then they went for it, and it's beautiful. But yeah, so I would say that the Caribbean is always more expressive, colorful, and as well in Trinidad, there's more ad-libbing.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
sometimes that's a challenge to get the cast to stick
To
to the script.
I was not about to ask you the
Yeah.
process because I know that you are based away.
Yes, indeed.
So you would start rehearsals with you being away.
We were.
What was that process like? Getting the different actors on board and doing rehearsals virtually,
Right,
and
yeah.
then now coming
Right.
in and doing rehearsals in
Yeah.
person.
So we started obviously the first show was back in October.
Yes.
So we had started, I think it was February of last year, doing Zoom.
Okay.
You know, so we established a good vibes with everybody via Zoom, getting to know each other, getting to know the story, understanding the characters, just Zooming. And then when I came, because I normally come like 8 weeks before
Okay.
to do the in-person rehearsals. But it's always challenging as well because obviously you know that we have 2 teams.
Yes. Explain that.
Right. So normally you'd have a main cast
Yes.
and you'd have understudies.
Right.
You know what I mean? The understudies are there in case the main person can't make it.
Right.
But we're human beings. Everybody wants to be on the stage.
Correct. Yes.
It's very difficult to motivate an understudy to learn the lines.
I never get to
Yeah,
the stage.
come to rehearsals every
Yes.
week, but never been on stage.
Right.
So I've made it my duty that whatever shows I'm doing, I have 2 teams, and you're guaranteed at least 1 night,
Okay.
as long as you are stage ready.
Right.
You understand? But obviously, you are directing 2 teams at the same time, and also crossover teams as well.
Wow.
You know, so it has its challenges,
Yeah.
but it's worked so far, and I think that people appreciate that after all this work that they're doing, they do get a chance to go on stage. And obviously, I'm here about creating opportunities for people who may not necessarily be into the arts
Right.
to get a chance to take part in the arts, as well as those who want this as a life career to also have opportunity as well.
Right. Before we get into the details for this weekend, one of the key things with your productions, and I say production because it's not just about the acting on stage, but you also incorporate music into it.
Yes.
So talk to us about that and the importance of merging music with the acting.
Okay. Well, obviously, like I said, I've got a background of music.
Yes.
You know, so and I try to incorporate everything and give the plays variety.
Yeah.
So when you come to one of my plays like Love, Sax, Jazz, or I'm Getting There, you're going to get some music, you're going to get some dancing, you're going to get some comedy, you're going to get some poetry, you're going to get the acting, because in an audience, different people react to different stuff.
Yes.
And because I'm trying to reach everybody, I'm trying to give everybody a piece of something. So when you come, there must be something that hooks you. You understand? So I try to be inclusive of everybody and using as many art forms as I can, especially the ones that I have come out of, the music, the poetry, the spoken word, the drama, the theatre.
Nice. So give us details now on this weekend. You have a
Okay.
show on Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday at Central Bank, tomorrow, Saturday, yeah, at 7 p.m. Tickets, you can still get tickets. They're only $175, available from A&A Pharmacy on Charlotte Street or Living Legacy up in Arima. If you come on the day, tickets are only $200. We start at 6 on Sunday, 7 p.m. on Saturday. So please come out and support good quality, clean theatre, family focus entertainment. We're trying to produce entertainment that the whole family can come
Yes.
and attend, and really enjoy as a family.
Yeah, and it's called Midlife Crisis. You're dealing with issues that all of us relate
Go
to.
for it. So people think midlife crisis, it doesn't affect the youth, but obviously, if you are a teenager, then your parents are probably going through a midlife crisis.
Right.
How does that affect you?
Yes.
So in the play, it's a family play. So it's not just about the people who are going through it. It's how it affects your family, your friends, your neighbors, work colleague, everything. So you're going to come, you're going to laugh, you might cry, you're going to be able to relate to the actors and actresses because it's real and it's relatable. And so, yeah, you're going to get a belly full of laughter.
Nice. I am looking forward to being there this weekend. I want to take in Midlife Crisis. Thank you, Alan, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so you can check it out. And if persons want to get in touch with you on social media.
Yeah, Alan Charles or Focus Arts Promotions. And also as well, look out for, because we're going to be doing a casting call week after next for a production that we're going to return to Tobago in November. So check us out on Alan Charles on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram and also Midlife Crisis on Facebook as well.